My name is Andrew Bayview. I own a roofing company local to South Florida and Miami, but we do work all over Florida. So we do roof replacements, gutter replacements. We also do new construction for roofs. I also am a certified roof inspector with the Hague Institute. So we do roof inspections, pre-purchase inspections, insurance inspections, things like that. We also do leak repairs, smaller jobs for homeowners. We do some fascia work, some odds and ends, small jobs when we're slow, but for the most part, just roof replacements and gutters. Well, it was an interesting situation. I worked corporate in staffing for about 10 years. I had been dreaming of opening up a roofing company for 5 or 6 years. I was doing some commercial construction projects on the side. I was kind of half-stepping it, trying to start the roofing company on the side, started to do some marketing, stuff like that, but never really fully put my all into it. And then one day I got laid off from the corporate job. The day after, I got another job offer in the same industry in staffing, and I decided like, now's the time to go. I had a daughter on the way. Now she was born a couple weeks ago. So it was time to go, and I figured there's no other better opportunity than the present to get after it. One of my mutual friends with CJ actually put me in contact with him. Yeah, he helped me kind of get everything off the ground and get started in the trades. I was doing pretty well for myself. I was making between 150 and 160K in the corporate side of things. It wasn't that fulfilling. I was always kind of working for somebody else, always kind of answering to somebody else, having to do spreadsheets and having to justify, what I'm doing. And I was always kind of doing everything for somebody else. And then now gross revenue, we're getting close to 325, and this is over the past 5 months. From a profit standpoint, we're working at about 20 to 30%, but that's over the last 5 months. And the first few months, it was really just hustling, getting going, cold calling, following the blueprints from Blue Collar Education. It's been growing a lot over the past couple months though. There's a couple different things. It's hard to be brief about it because they've helped me a lot. Coming from a lower socioeconomic situation and you see other people in higher socioeconomic situations. I used to be a valet at Fleming's and Roy's locally here in Tampa, and I would see these people with a ton of money, and I would always wonder like, what's the difference between a normal person and these guys? How are these guys making so much money, and what's the difference? Then you realize it's being shown the blueprint on how to actually do it, and that it is possible. Nobody's really different. Everybody's kind of the same. Nobody's truly that much smarter than anybody else. Nobody has that much more drive than anybody else. It truly is just understanding that I can do this. This is a possibility, and shown how to actually do it. For me, not only was I given the blueprints in terms of like how to cold call, how to approach different customers, how to build the foundation of a small business to get going, but also showing that it is just possible. I think that was the most valuable thing for me, is just knowing that this is possible. I can go from ground zero and build brick by brick and create a multi-million-dollar company. There's a lot of challenges starting from ground zero, man. It's starting out, it was, I guess the biggest one was finding lead and finding clients. That was square one. And then I guess a big part of it coming from a corporate culture into more of a blue collar culture is understanding how to work with your labor subs, your employees. At first I became almost too friendly. It was less of a business relationship, more of a friendly relationship with a lot of my labor subs. And then, they kind of started losing respect for me and stopped working as hard on the jobs. The quality of work started to go down, and I wasn't understanding, like, I'm treating these guys like gold. I'm buying them lunch, I'm going and talking to them all day. And you kind of realize that's not the way it works in construction. You gotta make people understand that, hey, I'm the boss, I'm the one that's writing the checks. This is how things need to be done. This is the quality standard that I'm upholding. And if you're not gonna hold yourself to the same standard, I'm gonna work with somebody else. That was a big thing that I learned from CJ and Justin. The mentorship. I wanted to invest in Blue Collar Education for the mentorship. Having somebody that I'm able to call at any time, day or night. I could call CJ, I could call Justin for any kind of advice on a job, and I didn't think it really turned out that well. I was able to text them on that first job and say, hey, how bad is this? What do I need to tell the homeowner? What do I need to do to try to rectify this? And they were able to give me help on that. Day to day, I'm able to go to them with my problems. They understand it and give me the exact answer of what I'm looking for without me having to go Google it or search Reddit or whatever. It just kind of makes it easy. So the mentorship was the biggest portion of it for me. Obviously, the course that they offer is great. Getting that kind of blueprint for getting yourself started and how to gain leads and cold call and stuff like that is incredible. But the mentorship is the number one thing for me. The biggest aha moment for me is that this isn't some fake thing, like being able to reach that level of driving around in a McLaren or driving around in a G-Wagon. Like, you can do that. It's not just something you see on Instagram that guys are just doing that, they're faking it and they're renting these cars and stuff. Like, no, there's a blueprint for, if you follow exactly the steps that they give you, you can achieve these results. And I see it. If I just take it from an exponential perspective of how much I've grown over the past 3 to 4 months, if I continue on that same trajectory, trajectory, I'll reach those same goals. And now that I see that it's possible, it's like, oh wow, blue collar is truly a way for somebody to change their socioeconomic status. I mean, it was pretty quick. I just first few weeks, I'm just trying different things that I think is gonna work, right? Like the first 2 months I spent door knocking, and I was just going and knocking on doors, door by door, just trying to drum up business. And she's just like, dude, you're wasting your time. Go ahead and put up signs on every corner of the street, start cold calling realtors, property managers, try to get contacts that have a multitude of jobs as opposed to going for the onesies and twosies and trying to go to individual homeowners. And that really changed kind of the trajectory of the style of business that I'm doing. It went from working with Mr. and Mrs. Jones to I'm working with a property manager who manages 13 different properties, and now I have the opportunity to bid on really, really big projects as opposed to just bidding on one residential roof and fighting for this one residential job. And to be honest, I'm working harder than I've ever worked before. So yeah, I have a great support system at home. My wife, she's with our newborn, and she's really working incredibly hard to make it work and support me in this endeavor so I could kind of change the trajectory for our family. Right now, it's gone from laid off, not making any money, to now I'm making enough to kind of support our family and having the trajectory to actually make a lot more money for our family and hopefully have my wife be able to retire and stay at home and kind of take care of the kids. And that's the biggest thing for me. That's a huge impact for us and kind of changed everything for what I thought for my future. Month 1 through 3, I might have grossed $10,000 in revenue. Month 3 through, I'm about 5.5 months, 6 months in, I'm closing in on about $325K in gross revenue. Now, obviously there's little bumps in the roads. I'm working on getting my margins up and actually taking home more profit out of that, but it's also a learning experience. I'm paying a lot more to subcontractors because I don't necessarily have the knowledge to hire lower quality subcontractors and manage them myself. So I hire people that have more knowledge and that have more experience so then I can learn. And I'm kind of taking this first year to just learn myself and then take it to the next level by the next couple of years. But in terms of revenue, I'm hoping to be able to hit $500,000 in gross revenue by the end of this year. We're actually working on a gutter job right now that's about $114,000, and we actually just hit a change order for another $30,000. So I'd say about $145,000 total contract value on that one. I'm a skeptic, right? I don't really believe in a lot of business coaching. You see all the different courses on Instagram and Facebook and all these guys that are riding around in the Lamborghinis and all this stuff. A lot of it you kind of take for BS because a lot of it is BS. But the difference is these guys are actually doing it. CJ's actually living that lifestyle. Justin's actually living that lifestyle. They're working their asses off day in and day out, and you could see it. You could see the results, and then they're just giving you the playbook exactly of what they're doing to be successful, and then you do it, and then it actually works. It's very rare to find that in a business coach that they're walking the talk. Yeah, it's like PlayStation, up, left, down, right, triangle, X, O. You just follow the playbook and you will be successful. It's very hard to fail as long as you're willing to put the work in. That's the biggest thing, is having the work ethic. And that's another thing, is the motivation that they have. Seeing them and seeing how hard they're working and kind of the way their work ethic is, it's like, okay, I can do this. I could hustle. I could do more. I could do more in my day. And you see it if you look at CJ and Justin's Instagrams, you see their stories every day, and they're actually hustling every single day. They're not just bojangling around and just doing the marketing stuff. I would say the cold calling, because here's what really sets, I think, the course apart from a lot of other courses and a lot of other literature, because there's resources everywhere out there. You could Google a lot of stuff, you could pay for different courses that'll teach you about business, it'll teach you about construction, but nobody will actually show themselves cold calling clients and how to actually have that conversation, and showing that, hey, the first 2 to 3 calls, it's gonna be a little bit shaky, and by the time you get to call 10, you kind of get your flow. And a lot of times you think, oh, it should be seamless, it should be easy, but no human is actually like that. So being able to see like Justin on there cold calling, and he does it for 2 hours, and you see the flow of the call, you see the exact talk track. That's not something you're really gonna find anywhere else. I've never seen anybody actually do that. And then it kind of gives you the talk track. If you just kind of follow the same talk track, it makes it so much easier than if somebody says, hey, go cold call a property manager and try to introduce yourself, and them kind of telling you how to do it versus seeing somebody actually do it and see how that flow of the call actually happens. I texted CJ at like midnight night before and he's texted right back. He calls me pretty much any time of night, any time of day. Every single time I call Justin or CJ, they answer the phone and they're able to help me out with whatever I need. I remember I was on a job and I had texted Justin. I didn't want to let the subcontractor leave because I wasn't sure if the job was done right. And I was able to text Justin and Justin's like, no, that's not acceptable. You got to make those guys change it before they leave. And that kind of saved me a lot of heartache and headache on that job, and I was able to make that customer happy. And that was, he texted me back within 30 seconds. They're available all the time. I don't know if they necessarily, want me to put that out there, but they help me out a lot. I would tell them that it is the real deal. It's a small investment to have this kind of backing on your team, to have this kind of support and have this kind of mentorship. It's 100% worth it. I've seen 1,000 courses and coaches, different people that are telling you this is the way that you're going to be able to make money and stuff like that, and I've never really invested in those because I never really believed in it. But this is something that's tried and true, and it is real. Next year, my next revenue goal, I'm really hoping to hit 750 next year. Hopefully I surpass it, obviously, but I'd really like to hit the 750K in gross revenue goal. I believe in myself a lot, so I feel like I would have been able to reach the same goals just a lot slower. I'm always going to hustle, I'm always going to grind, I'm always going to do whatever it takes to be successful. I'll always seek out resources, but they've cut down my learning curve by a lot. Coming into this, especially from the corporate side of things and not really understanding too much about roofing, having all that advice just cut down on the learning curve by so much. I probably would still be door knocking. I'd probably still be going door to door trying to get clients. I haven't had the door knock in a couple months, thank God.